unlike Jan and some others on here, I'm not a clinician. So I wasn't in the mental health space most of my career. I was a professional sports executive for 15 years, and my brain and my body crashed on me. So I come through it from a lived experience angle of 2.5 years of navigating a mental health care system that is not set up to help us. I mean that with a broad brush. Usually, when you say that, you're like, oh, you're talking about certain areas. I think holistically, we're really missing the ball, and we've got the greatest awareness in the history of our planet in this topic. Yet the suicide and overdose rates are going in the wrong direction. Those two things don't add up. And navigating the system and then having to find a path towards wellness, I ended up forming a nonprofit organization called Same Here Global, leveraging the relationships that I have with the athletes and the teams to get out our messaging through. We have four main areas of focus. So K through 12 colleges, corporate offices, and military and first responders. And so we bring in professional development and assembly programs along with technology through a for-profit company. It's called 5 and 5 Inc. So it'd be really interesting to hear how each of these play with each other, all your different organizations. And I say that from this angle. Going through what I went through, I realized that mental health is not for 1 in 5 with mental illness. It's for 5 in 5 who all face mental health challenges. That means if 8 billion people on the planet need our services, as Jan, I'm just pointing to her and doing projects in Africa, no one should be looking at this space and going, here's my area of focus and here's how I protect it and here's my market share. We should be looking at it and going, how do we help 8 billion people? Because if we actually get the message out there and open up people's eyes that mental health is not about whether you have depression or anxiety or now the big buzzword in schools, ADHD, and have a 504 IEP, but it's how you manage what you're going through in life, will open up a lot more people to actually use the services we have. And then there's no need for a scarcity mindset.
Yeah, that's a brilliant. And one thing that you created, the same here scale, is actually something I think about literally every single day. I I don't even actively mean to do it, but at some point in the day, something happens, and I think about how I'm moving along that scale and how it affects me. And to me, that's the lowest lift, most impactful thing that I've come across where it's so simple and I don't feel stuck and defined and I can see momentum and feel that I can do something about it. So that's personally been like
Right. We
inspirational
obviously we
for
can go
me.
into, but just from a personal standpoint, Jim, you saying that, I think the reason why I struggled for 2.5 years outside of the systemically things that went on, I had no idea what was wrong with me. And so when you go to different mental health professionals who are telling you you've got all these different labels, or it is a chemical imbalance, or it's something else, and you have no idea what direction you're going in, you feel like there's basically no end in sight. And the no end in sight leads you to your sympathetic nervous system response going haywire and building on itself. You become a spiral, a dog chasing your tail. So appreciate you sharing that, like having some kind of linearity that helps you understand where you at in a given moment. And I'm not stuck there. I can get back to a better place. We're going for. So appreciate you.
Eric, I mentioned to your point, I appreciate what you're sharing. Like the scarcity mindset doesn't work. And I also think about when we give people applicable strategies they can apply, like that really does change their world. Michelle, thanks so much for sharing about when you focus on the SEL component, right, or the character development component, the data will come. I think schools so often are focused on data, and that's my experience that we only look at data, everything's around data, and like, but we're not addressing the whole child. So I share that long-winded intro to talk about a school specific that I was supporting this year with literacy and kindness embedded collectively, pre-K through 12. We had a lot of resistance at the start of the year with teachers pushing back around change, around not wanting to understand these students. Like, this is what I've done for 20 years. It's always worked. If 60% of kids get it, why do we care about the other 40%? And that was really hard for me to process, right? And I think back to my last visit just 2 weeks ago, and the conversations look so differently. Teachers are collaborating, they're working together. We talked about character development. We talked about these understanding. And so in my mind, of moments of like, this isn't working. This is all terrible. Why am I doing this? Right. Because imposter syndrome, shame, doubt, fear all get loud in those moments of like, this may not be working. It was evident that it is working, right? The data may not be there collectively where we want to see, but we're making growth. We're seeing students' attendance improve. We're seeing less discipline referrals. We're seeing more belonging. We're seeing increased friendships, like, right, those critical components that we know are so necessary for student success. And so when I think about Oklahoma, specifically where I live, we have a lot of emergency certified adjunct teachers, meaning they're not traditionally trained. I think about the support and services that they need. And it really keeps me motivated. Like the resources I'm providing, the things that I'm putting out there, the work that we are all collectively doing is mattering, and you can see it in real time. So that's what inspires me to keep going, and the impact that it's working. It may be slow, but it's working.
Lindsay, I'm kind of curious on the like administrative systems and processes level, like how does that really play into mental health and burnout and then alleviating? Like, can you go into that a little bit?
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, anything that's coming into our schools has a place in the classroom. And our students are experiencing every single piece of that, as are our teachers. And so we have to start thinking more holistically about what's happening in the building because um, the person at the district office or the consultant from the outside, that's their one thing that they're focused on. But again, that child and that classroom teacher are experiencing all of those things. So we need to think in terms of, is it even manageable for them to jump in this many buckets in one day and those kinds of things? Because I think a lot of times we are continuing to push for something, but we're pushing in a manner where the child doesn't even have the ability to retain it, and so we might as well be, throwing those words out the window, so to speak. So I would love I get excited when I hear conversations about that capacity and how even if you could just take 5 minutes to give a child a place to store that knowledge and to sort it and give their brains a chance to put it somewhere, then they enter into the next task in a much more calm state, and their nervous system is ready to attack the next thing and to feel steady in that. So that's where I see these two worlds converging because at the end of the day, it's just one kid experiencing all of this. And so we have to make it work for that one child. And I think sometimes if we can think of it about one person instead of the 60% and 40%, it helps us to realize uh, what we're really doing. We're creating an experience for a child who is supposed to learn things.
Michelle, pinging off that, we're thinking about, big picture systems and stuff like that. You being the educator on the ground, if in the perfect system with all the perfect supports, what are the hurdles in implementing this kind of stuff that you still have to overcome?
Well, I really feel like the biggest thing that we have to deal with is like time. Like we have so much on our plate and so much to do. Time is a huge factor. And, we've had curriculum for different sort of social emotional learning and stuff. And we used it for like a year and never touched it again. It's just like it's kind of bland, there's not a lot of buy-in, and I really feel like, to hit every student needs something different every minute of the day. Like, there's so much coming at us, there's so much on our plate. Like, here's a new curriculum, go do this. We're like, "Okay." Oh, but we don't even know what to do with it, and it could be like math curriculum or science curriculum, and now you need to teach this. Oh, and now we're doing this, and now we're doing this. So it's just like all this stuff is just coming at us, and I think we really need just skills and different things that we can embed in our classroom that we can do all the time. Like I start my day every day with tapping, 5 minutes every morning. We do tapping to start our day. I started that pre-COVID and it's been a game changer because not only does it help ground me, it just grounds all of us to start our day, because who knows how we started our day, like mom got mad because she couldn't find her keys or sister pulled my hair on my way to school. My brother ate my lunch and now I have no food. These are like common things that we have every single day. So just like to start our day, 5 minutes, boom, every single day, consistent with that. I've noticed huge improvements in my classroom, but I'm one of very few people who does that every single day, but I imagine if we did that with everyone, that 5 minutes isn't, it's 5 minutes. And then we do, throughout the day, like I had a little girl who was she was crying and upset because her mom had to go to court. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So I have a weighted blanket. She got a weighted blanket. She got to go sit quietly and do her work until she was ready to come back. And it didn't take much. And the next day she's like, my mom came home. I'm not worried. Thank you for everything you did. I'm like, I didn't really do a whole lot. I just had a couple little resources I gave to you and told you it would be okay and said, I'm sorry, I can't do anything to help you because this is out of my control, but I did help her, you know? And so I think if we have like just lots of skills that we can, throw out like meditation and tapping and just things like that would be, not sitting down for half an hour teaching about social emotional learning, not another thing on a teacher's plate because there's not a lot of buy-in there. So I think little things that make big impacts that we can consistently do are bigger bang for your buck.